The final day, emotions running high. The Stones refused to say goodbye. 11 blue and white heroes fought with pride as a packed Grosvenor Vale cheered their side. With grit and fire they sealed the day, while the Daggers' hopes were swept away. At Solihull, a twist so bold as Agent Dooku scored the goal. Agent Taylor watched his maws dig deep, but the chances came and came so cheap. The Daggers fans made expectant noise, but they didn't have a striker with poise. With the final whistle blown at the Vale, the Daggers' chance came to no avail. Agent Umera now cannot atone, but once a stone, always a stone. So Wealdstone stay, defiant, free, the National League their destiny. And though this season took its toll, come August, we'll be ready to roll. Welcome to StonesCast. Well, goodness gracious me, we did it. God knows how. What an amazing day at the Vale on Monday just gone as Wealdstone secured their National League place. And I'm joined tonight by three absolute stars who are probably just about nursing and getting over the hangovers that they no doubt enjoyed after celebrating. So in no particular order, I'm going to introduce our panel for tonight to share this momentous occasion. First of all, Mr. Alex Kilroy. How are you, sir? You well? Recovered?
Yeah, well, just about. Tuesday was a bit rough, but no, I think I'm all right now. I'll probably need a few months to get over that.
I'm sure we'll come on to the shenanigans that you boys got up to, but let's introduce the rest of the panel first. Our coach leader, Mr. Dave Reader. How are you, buddy?
Good evening. Not too bad, mate. And marvellous piece of poetry, sir. Absolutely fantastic. What introduction.
I have to confess, there was a little bit of help from ChatGPT that went in there, but I thought something a little bit different to start us off. And let's introduce our final member of the cast, whose camera is apparently not working, so you're going to have his avatar, Mickey Bananas Kane, not doing the dials, joining us today. How are you, Kane?
Oh, I'm absolutely over the moon. Thank you very much, Alan. All good and gravy. You
enjoyed yourself Monday night?
Well, my blood pressure's just about recovered now, but up until the final whistle went, it was a different kettle of fish. I certainly enjoyed celebrating afterwards.
Now, I've said to our cast panel tonight that I'm almost going to give them a little bit of a carte blanche, 90 seconds, to just start by reflecting on Monday's game and what the enormity of the occasion kind of meant to you all individually. And I'll let you, however you want to kind of share those stories and regale that however you want. But I have to start with the really embarrassing admission that me as your host wasn't there Monday. Now, I made a choice. So the football team that I played for on a Saturday got to a National Cup final, and that clashed with our game on Bank Holiday Monday. So I chose to play football at Burton Albion. We lost 3-1. The game kicked off at 2:00. So by the time it finished, it was half time at the Vale. So I went straight to my phone, see we're 3-0 up, but obviously Dagenham are losing. I'm then driving back with my wife from Burton, obviously kind of coming out the edge of the Peak District with sketchy signal. And I've seen that the full-time whistle has gone at the Vale, and I was watching the Dagenham game and my signal cut out. So until probably 5-10 minutes later, and actually until the following day, I hadn't realised quite the extent of the misses that Dagenham went through. So yeah, that was my Monday. Like I say, I had serious post FOMO of missing out, but unreal. absolutely unreal. I've gutted to have missed it, but yeah, that's my embarrassing admission. Right, who wants to go first? Who wants to tell me and just share with everyone what was your day? What were your experiences? Alex, I'm going to pick on you then. Go on, Dave. Go on, Dave.
No. Well, I just thought it was in the cold light of day when you sit back and we celebrated finishing fifth from bottom like we'd won the league, and it was fantastic. I think you look around at all our sort of what we call limbs moments over the years. Pretty much most of them have been away, and I think that was the first real proper Vale moment. You had. I know you wasn't there, Adam. I was going to say you had to see it to believe it, but you did. Kids lined up on the touchline, ready for the final whistle. Massive pitch invasion. It was as if, and I just almost feel it sort of pressed a sort of a button for the club. It's as if it's revived the club in some way. It just felt like that. But the whole thing, it just felt like we just won the league. Pitch invasion. Premature pitch invasion as it was, because the game at Dagenham and Solihull hadn't finished yet, so we'd have looked a right bunch of Charlies if we had Dagenham put one of those chances away. But yeah, I'm still on a high now. I don't think I've ever celebrated. I don't think you'd ever see a club anywhere celebrate fifth from bottom in the way that we did. It was fantastic. I loved every minute of it. Over to you, Alex.
You go next, Alex.
Oh, okay. So I remember speaking to Dave on the train on the way to the game, and we both were kind of, I'd say we were both confined to defeat. Like we kind of knew it was over. It was kind of more of a, let's just enjoy it. I go to the pub and we are discussing trying to salvage a few good Conference South away games and trying to find out which ones are good, which ones are near train stations, which ones are near pubs, which ones like Hornchurch are in the middle of arsenal of nowhere and are nowhere near a station, you know. So yeah, I personally had very little hope. But then seeing the way the players played in that first 25 minutes or so, I was kind of quite frustrated. I mean, always a pessimist, but I was thinking, where was that all season? We tore Halifax to shreds. And it wasn't through Halifax necessarily playing badly. It was through us. Like every tackle we were getting stuck in. Every time they had the ball, there was nowhere for them to breathe, especially the second goal. That all comes about from our intense press. I was thinking to myself, God, where is this all season? We can't keep doing this. We'll be sharp on the last day and try and stay up. So it was all great, it was all fine, and then that goal goes in at Dagenham, and I'm just like, it's just the most Wealdstone thing in the world to be 3-0 up, and then for Dagenham to score. But, you know, we all know what happened towards the end, and it was amazing. But it really was a moment that I probably will remember for the rest of my life, in the sense that, for me personally, I mean, for some of you guys, you may have remembered the highs of winning certain titles back in the 80s, but for someone like myself and for someone like the people I go to Wealdstone with, we've never had that. We've never had like an actual proper moment, and I feel like for a lot of us, especially people my age who go, that moment was kind of a release of emotion, especially after the way maybe the Conference South turned out, in the sense that we never actually got a moment to celebrate with the players. We never got that pitch invasion. We never got to see the trophy lift. I know we didn't see a trophy lift on Monday. It kind of felt like we finally got that moment where it was like total victory. So that was really, really like good to see. It's just a really great day. It's a day I think many of us will be speaking about for the next few decades.
Yeah, we'll jump into that in more detail. I'm sure very soon. But Kaney, if I can just bring you in, same kind of question to you, mate.
Well, to be honest, going into the game, I was quite philosophical about it, especially after the way we played against Southend. Gone into that game expecting, well, we're going to go down anyway. As long as we have a go and make a show of it, you know, we can go down with our heads held high. And just don't concede in the first 10 minutes like we had done in the previous 3 games. And then Cookie, and when I saw his name come up on the team sheet, I thought, hang on, we've got something here. and then he pops up after 4 minutes and puts us ahead, the entire atmosphere of the crowd changed. Everybody lifted. And then 2 more goals in quick succession, and suddenly we're thinking, we've got a chance here. We've got a puncher's chance. And it was totally deflated when we heard that there was a goal at Solihull. And for that whole period, from that point until Solihull equalised, everything was just a little bit flat. I mean, we looked at someone burst our balloon. But when that came through, that the equaliser had gone in, the atmosphere in the place just went into overdrive. It was like a cup final. And that final whistle going, and then finally it coming through. And as you say, the celebrations, you say, like winning the league, I felt those celebrations were better than if we'd won the league. I don't think we would have reacted quite the way we did if we'd won the league on Monday. We would have celebrated, but nothing like that, because it was so totally out of the blue. And everything that we'd all been talking about for the weeks beforehand about, oh, it's terrible, we're going to go down, how does it affect the ground, how does it affect this, what players are going to say, oh, we're going to have to go to this small town ground, we'll never be back in the National League for years and years and years. We were on such a downer, emotionally downer, that we had all this horribleness coming towards us, and in an instant it changed. And we celebrated like I've not seen us celebrate, oh, I can't remember, better than Margate, better than when we won the league at Kettering. It was just exceptional. And it was brilliant that we did it in front of a really big crowd with loads of youngsters there who were going to, that's probably one of the biggest sporting occasions they've seen in their lives, and it will live with them forever, and we'll see them back. And I was just thinking, all of a sudden, from a massive downward trajectory we had a few days ago, suddenly it's turned into a very big uptick. So that's all we can be now is positive. We've got a new manager who's going to have a summer to build a squad to take forward in his vision for next year, a bit of stability, and we're in the National League. What's not to like about that? Happy days. I honestly can't be any happier right now if I tried.
And let's be honest though, like I think was it you, Kane, or Jez, or someone in our cast group was kind of working out the odds, and I think we were 7-2, 3-1 chance of staying up.
I think it was 4-1, something like that. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
But the odds were very much against us staying up. Of course, it wasn't just Dagenham we had to worry about. You had Maidenhead, and obviously Maidenhead did what they needed to do. So, of course, this cast and the outcome could and probably should have been so different. And I think if we can just kind of rewind, 9 days, a game that will very much not live in the memory was our trip to Southend. Obviously, it was a 5:30 kickoff being streamed live on the Zone, and we'd seen that Dagenham had done what they did to Alty, who did us no favours. But backed by a very vociferous and very good turnout. I mean, Southend was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. I guess my question to you guys is obviously just any particular thoughts on Southend. I mean, I guess we very quickly move on from it. But did you really give us a hope, a chance, based on the Southend game and, of course, the Boston and Maidenhead debacles that went before it?
Well, I watched it on the TV, so I had a front row seat of that game, and I can tell you we looked absolutely awful from the moment second we conceded. That we were done. We had nothing in the tank, and it was a painful watch. Just more than anything, it was the body language of the players, the confidence had been sucked out of them, and from that performance, you just couldn't see us being mentally capable of turning it around on Monday. And it was a remarkable turnaround that we did, to be brutally frank, and I don't know how Neil managed it.
I think for me, what was we've never questioned the desire or effort of the players, and I don't think it was that at Southend, but they looked just rabbit in headlights, like totally devoid of any idea of how that we were. I'd say lay a glove on Southend. I mean, we struggled to even get out of our own half. It was that dreadful. Alex, Dave, any thoughts on Southend?
I just have to agree with what you guys have been saying. It was dross. I just feel I think it kind of shows how the mental side can affect one's performance so much, because the players obviously do have ability, and Monday was a case in point. And they have shown sparks of being a real good side throughout the season. But I think that they, like the fans, saw Dagenham win 6-0 or 6-1 and thought, oh, Jesus Christ, like it's done. Not done, but I think that really sapped a lot of life out of that team. And I think since the first kick, they just looked. I mean, it was honestly, it was one of the worst performances I've probably seen all season, if not, for a very long time. It was honestly awful. And to be honest with you, leaving Roots Hall, I generally thought that would be that was it. But I had very little hope because they just looked. The players just looked like they not gave. I don't want to say gave up. They just looked so beaten. It looked like they had just been in 12 rounds with Mike Tyson. So yeah.
Yeah, they looked absolutely crushed emotionally, the players.
Yeah.
Like they had nothing in the tank left. Now, it's not lack of effort, it's just they just look browbeaten and almost like they'd resigned themselves that they're going to go down. So it was a remarkable turnaround to change that for Monday. Remarkable.
Yeah. We've lost Dave for a moment. Sounds like his car alarm might be going off. One of the things that actually just, as I think back to that game, it was obviously off the pitch. The support was absolutely phenomenal that day. And there was a period just after half time where 364, whatever the number was, Stones fans made an absolute racket for 10, 15 minutes. And, I think sometimes we kind of question, have you really got behind the lads? And that the support was phenomenal that day. And if the players couldn't respond to that, they had no chance. But one thing that actually just sort of frustrated me as I recall the game now was the lack of changing it from Neil Gibson. Now, we aren't privy to the state of the squad, and I know we've obviously been nursing injuries and illness for a period of time. But you could see that second goal had been building and building. It needed to change. We were offering nothing. And I was really frustrated that he didn't make a change and bring, I think, Hutchinson and Obiero on until the game was gone, 75, 80 minutes, whatever it was. I don't know whether you guys shared the thoughts there or anything else to add into the Southend game.
Go on.
Can you hear me all right now? Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
I lost you. I've had to go and get some earphones. I couldn't hear.
No, we're all good. Although you might have just switched them off now, Dave. You've gone quiet.
Well, look, I'll just, until he fixes his mic, I'll just come in and just say I agree with you completely in regards to the fans and how brilliant it was. And it kind of felt to me this was our kind of last swan song. I know I'm again going back to this pessimistic, but I think the fans kind of knew the players needed our support, whether they're playing crap or not. And it was really good to see a bit of positivity in quite a dark moment. In regards to Taylor, not him. In regards to Gibson, you are right in the sense that he does make quite late changes, and that has been a common thread since he's joined. But I'm not sure whether that's a him thing or I've got injuries. I don't want to, bring these players on who aren't 100% fit. I do think it's probably quite unfair to judge him on his substitutions when he probably has 13 or 14 fit players. Given he had 17, 18, 19 fit players, which Touchwood he has at the start of the next season, then it's probably right and just to fair him on his tactical decisions then. I mean, I remember listening to him in the that kind of meet the manager session he gave, and he said, anything I do now is not about implementing a style, it's keeping Wealdstone in the National League. And to be fair to him, he's done that, and he's done his remit. And I think it's probably fair to judge him on his tactical decisions probably into next season.
Yeah, it's a good chat. I mean, you could almost argue that for a little bit for Matt Taylor, that it's perhaps harsh to judge him given the insane amount of injuries that he had. But yeah, it's a good point with Gibson. Like, he has probably not had a full fit squad to pick, possibly for the time he's been here. So yeah, it will be very interesting to see what goes on next season for him. Dave, are you back in the room? Still can't hear you, mate. And you seem to have joined twice. Dave's having some technical difficulties.
Right, what about now?
Yay!
Right, I seem to be back in. This is why Miz don't want to be on it, isn't it? It's right. I'm gonna leave that one. Right. Can you hear me all right?
I can, Dave.
You're quiet, but I can hear you.
Right. Okay. I'm back in then. Hopefully. So yeah, I got the gist. What we Southend, wasn't it? You're talking about?
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
As in what? I thought overall we were pretty poor. I thought we was as poor as we had been in the previous two games. Of the four remaining games, I did think Southend was the one we wouldn't get anything out of. So I didn't go out there with any. Oh.
We seem to have lost you again, Dave. Yeah, Dave, you've gone quiet, mate.
Anyway, going back to we were talking about the squad thing, and obviously him building his own squad over the summer. There's been a lot of talk that possibly next season we'll be going for more youth and determination and younger players coming up instead of experienced pros and ex-players that we've had in the past. Maybe because financially that's all we can afford. We won't be able to have expensive ex-pros in the team. And that might be a good thing with the new manager. We'll have to see how he works with a young, inexperienced squad.
Yeah, I think it's certainly been a topic for conversation, and we're hoping to do a cast with Neil and Lee in the very near future. But obviously, because of geographically where they come from and kind of the football in North Wales that they know, I think everyone's kind of intrigued to see what kind of recruitment he will do in our location.
It will be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, you think about how different that may have been as well, just purely on the basis of what league we're in. I know a few players have sort of nailed their colours to the mast for next season. I think Enzio was one of them, and that's, I think, great news. For reference as well, I should highlight StonesCast Player of the Year, Enzio Boulderwine, presented with his award by Nicola Brown on Saturday.
Richly deserved.
Richly deserved. I say it was presented by Nicola. I think it was presented by Akil, but kindly organised by Nicola. But yeah, no, I think it's a really good as we go into pre-season, and I know we mentioned about sort of the retain list. I think we'll come on to that, but pivotal few days, sort of changing really the future of the club, and I dare say some of the decisions will be made on the basis of the fact that we retain that National League status. Dave, you back in with us?
Obviously not.
I think he's fallen asleep.
He's probably watching the Arsenal game, to be fair.
Okay, I think we've maybe done the Southend game to death.
Done it to death.
Yeah, and we'll kind of quickly move on to that. So, I mean, Katie, you mentioned when you saw the team sheet on Monday, you see Jack Cook's name there.
Yeah.
Obviously, a player of his calibre back in, he'd been missing, I think, since the York game. What's that, 7 or 8 games? But aside from obviously seeing his name on the team sheet, did you come into Monday's game with a genuine, I'm going to say, hope or expectation that we were not even staying up, that we were going to do our part of the bargain and get the 3 points, given what we witnessed in the previous 3?
Exactly that. I mean, it was an enormous lift to see Cookie back in the side. I mean, let's face it, he is de facto our captain anyway, regardless of him not having the armband. He is an inspiration to the players around him. He lifts everybody's game. Just to see him on the team sheet was a shot in the arm for every supporter who saw that team sheet. They're thinking, hang on, maybe we have got half a chance, just half a chance. If we had not been there, we'd have probably gone in with the mindset of we're done. I think it was just a great shot in the arm for everybody involved, and that includes probably the playing side as well, the staff.
Could I also say on Cookie, I just feel like this season especially has been massively disrespected. There have been some people within my circles in particular who have been questioning his ability to be able to stick to the National League standard or the National League level, and I've always found that really perplexing. I think people judge him unfairly because he sets the bar so high for himself that when he dips below that very high standard, people start questioning, and it's a lot of like recency bias and things like that. And people say, "Oh, get him gone, get like he ain't up to scratch." Those people really are. They should be questioning whether they should be allowed an opinion in football in the first place, because you saw it straight. Like you saw it on Monday when he plays. We look so much more confident. We just, he doesn't even need to be touching the ball. He just needs to be there. He's just a calming presence for every single player. And there's some metrics in football you simply can't measure. And his ability to be able to just calm the players is one of them. And we saw that when, yes, we lost the York game when he was playing, but we haven't done well since. And I do think with Cookie in the side, we are a much better team. Very much like it was the case with Max Kretschmer a few years ago as well. I think he has that kind of same effect where he galvanises the players. So I agree with everything that Caney has said, and I bloody hope he signs on for next season.
Anybody who questions Cookie needs to give their head a wobble. I'm very sorry.
Yeah,
really
and it's happened. People have been questioning him or his ability.
I know, it's mad.
And I think it's absolutely bonkers. I think it's very much like people expect so much from our players, and it's probably not realistic.
I mean, it's obviously been a bit of a weird season. Like we've gone through so many players, but the defence especially has been so chop change with Cookie out, McAvoy's been in and out, Grant's been dropping in. Obviously, we lost Jaden Mundell-Smith. Woodman came in, but lost his place, but he was back on the bench on Monday. It's been, very, very difficult to have any kind of momentum when you've got so many personnel changes constantly all the time. Dave, I think you might be back in the room now. Can you hear us?
I'm hopefully with you again. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, well, I think we can hear you now. Good stuff, mate.
Yeah, it was meant to be. Yeah, I'm back in. Yeah, I've heard the last sort of few minutes or so, and yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know whether Cookie was 100. If this was like 5 games ago, would Cookie have played Monday? I wonder, or was it just this is the last chance saloon? If he's carrying an injury, I'm 75, I'm 80% fit. I'll give it a go, and you've got all summer to get over it. But like what the other guys have said, he's just immense, and I've always. Yeah, he's having a different season. I think it's the first season where he's never been mentioned in any of the Player of the Year awards, which is quite unlike him. But he's the best player I've ever seen as I can remember in a Wealdstone shirt, and he'll go down as one of the best players we've ever had. He's immense, and he to answer your question, Alex, he is with us next season because I think he's got another year on his contract. He said.
Oh, brilliant! That's fantastic.
So yeah, he is with us next year. So yeah, he was a massive plus Monday.
And did you come into the game on Monday, Dave, given everything that had gone before it the past 3 games, with a hope or expectation that we were going to, do our part of the bargain and make sure we got the win?
I had half a feeling we might win, but I just thought that I actually thought Dagenham were going to thump Solihull, and when it went 1-0, I was waiting for 2 or 3, 4, and I just thought that's it. We'll do our bit, and we were talking before in the pub, the ground will be half empty. No one will come back in the ground at half time when Dagenham are 3-0 up and stuff like that. And fortunately, the footballing gods looked upon us again. And I don't know how much more luck we've got to use up. But yeah, I actually thought we would get relegated. I'm not going to beat about the bush. I thought we'd do our bit, but we would go down. But yeah, marvellous stuff.
I was
sorry, go on.
I was going to say I was very nervous of Maidenhead as well. I was, convinced that they were going to thump Boston. Boston had been on such a good run, and they got themselves over the line. I knew Maidenhead were going to win, and I could just see, them leapfrogging everyone. But yeah, it wasn't to be for them, for our friends from Berkshire, so they'll drop down. Sorry, Caney, interrupted
Yeah,
you there.
sad news about Maidenhead going down. They're good people. But they've been flirting with it for a few seasons now, but I'm sure they'll be back. But I was just going to mention that I remember a couple of years ago when we had Matty and Stu on the cast, they said to us that the squad even then were always going to have a period where we'd have 4 or 5 games on the spin where we just wouldn't get results. We wouldn't play well, and it's just because of the nature of the squad and the squad size and the amount of contact time they have with it. It was just a matter of fact that was going to happen. It happened under them. And it's happened under Gibson, unfortunately, at the wrong time of the season, because he'd had a really good period just before that. But it's just kind of a nature that we have. It's not a new thing with us that we have these periods where we have 4 or 5 really quite poor performances. Don't read too much into it that it's happened this time, because it's also happened in the past. I was just mentioning it. That's all.
Yeah, it's a very good point, and just bringing sort of 2 things that other people have said there. One, I think when Max Kretschmar came on the cast at the end of last season, he said in this National League, you've got 2 or 3 very good sides, a couple of crap sides, and then there's about 18 sides that week to week a result could go either way. And I think when you look at the league table as it finished, I can pop that up there. I've only done it up to 17th, but we finished on 53, and we're only 7 points behind 10th or 11th. So, even though we survived by the skin of our teeth, we weren't far away. And when you think about some of those games, points that we threw away, we were only a couple of wins away from being, in theory, very comfortable. It'll be interesting, of course, what goes on next year. Sorry, go on, Alex.
I was going to say, me and Rio were looking through the league tables that day, the previous league tables in the National League, because we found it astounding that a team on 53 points can get relegated. I think you have to go back to even before 2000 to find a team who got relegated in a 24 league.
Didn't Boreham Wood go on 51?
Yeah, they went down on 51, but we could have gone down on 53 at half time. So we would have had the record for the best team to go down. So I agree with Adam. We're only 7 to 10 points off, upper mid-table. And again, it was, if you go back and look through the season, we should have got those 7 to 10 points throughout the season. We should not have let Leeds slip away the way they did. When we look at games like Southend, the home game, Hartlepool away, Ebbsfleet away, and many others, we have let Leeds slip in the last 15 minutes so many times.
Alex, I'm going to stop you there, if that's all right. Just because we have a special guest joining us on StonesCast tonight for this end of season special, and it's someone we've just been talking about. So if I can welcome to the stage, Cookie.
How you doing, guys? You all right?
Skipper.
Legend.
I hope everything that was said was good, by the way.
Yeah, don't listen to the cast, mate, whatever you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely it was.
Yeah, how's everyone?
I know you're busy watching the Gooners get beat in Paris, so we'll try and keep your time to a minimum here, and just thank you for coming to join us at short notice. I'll start with the obvious question of how are you feeling after Monday? How did it play out? How did you celebrate? Is the head all right?
Yeah, still got a bit of a sore head, groggy voice. You might see my daughter trying to get in the background here, so I've got to put her to bed as well as watch Arsenal. So multitasking tonight, but yeah, very, very sore head, croaky voice, but absolutely buzzing still that we managed to get over the line for everyone at the club. I know it means so much to the fans, Rory, the ownership, all the players as well. Sometimes as fans, you don't necessarily see how much it means to the players, and I think there was a real outpouring of emotion after the game in the changing room, and everyone just delighted that we could, get over the line in the end. I know at times during the game it didn't even feel like it was going to happen, but just delighted for everyone involved that you'll be able to maintain National League status for another season.
The guys were just saying that they all felt sort of a sense of enthusiasm and hope at seeing your name back on the team sheet when it was announced now before kickoff. Obviously, you'd missed, I think, 6 or 7 games since York. Should you have played? Were you fit enough? Would you have played if it was a normal league game?
I shouldn't have played against York. I think that's what did the real damage. I came off the game before on a Tuesday night against who was it? Aldershot, was it? I think it was Aldershot, and I shouldn't have played against York. But there was, some of the things that again fans don't see. There was a viral infection going around the camp. We had very limited numbers, and I was asked to kind of do a favour because I was semi-fit, and we had no one else, and that really did the damage that put me out for 5 weeks with a grade 2 tear and a muscle in my hip. So I shouldn't have played that game. It made it worse. And long-term thing, in hindsight, you look back and should have managed it a little bit better, but I just wanted to do what I could for the team. So look, that was my first game back on Monday. It would have been nice to ease my way in and get some minutes in other games, but it wasn't to be. And I would have done anything to be out there. I could have been, a lot worse than that, and I still would have tried to play. So yeah, look, I was fit. I feel good now. I feel fine. There's been no reaction, so I was always going to play. But yeah, it would have been nice to get some minutes and some more sessions in my legs before a game of that importance. But
let's talk about that game, because if I can do the tech here, 4 minutes in.
Certainly a big crowd in here tonight.
Yes.
Set of Vale interactions. I mean, I'm cracking limbs behind the goal. How do I stop?
I've played with. I was just messaging Max before jumping on here, and I've played with him for 6 years now. So we've got a bit of an understanding of where he's going to put the ball, the areas that he's going to look to put it, and managed to lose my man and make the run. I would claim it was a clean header, but I'd be lying. A little bit shoulder there involved, which on the videos it actually doesn't look like like that. So I probably should be admitting that and saying it was all on purpose. But I've played with Max for so long now that I kind of had a telepathic understanding of where he wanted to put the ball. Made the run, lost the man, and the scenes behind the goal was what everyone was looking for. Early goal kind of set the tone, and it just went onwards and upwards from there, really.
And what were kind of the mood in the camp and the expectations going into Monday's game, given the 3 performances at Boston, Maidenhead and Southend especially that had gone before it? Was there a belief in the camp and with yourself that we could at least do our bit and get over the line?
Yeah, we knew we had to win the game, and that's all we were focused on doing. We didn't, it's hard to not get caught up in the emotion of the game, and you could feel the fans go a little bit flat when obviously Dagenham Redbridge scored. You felt that on the pitch. Thankfully, we got the 3 goals before that moment, because if they had scored earlier on and it was still 0-0, we might not have got over the line, just because we still felt that we could do something. As players on the pitch, I certainly felt a little bit flat because you could feel it around the ground. And then as soon as Solihull equalised, it just gave us another lift. We could hear the crowd. We knew what was happening. It really drove us on. But all week the focus was just winning the game. We said it's out of our hands now. We've just got to do our job. I think the most disappointing thing was if we didn't do our job and it was still there for us, we would have been really kicking ourselves, more so than if we'd won the game and Dagenham and Redbridge still won the game. We did our job on the day. Going back to Southend, we felt we were doing our team meeting and people's apps were going off of Dagenham and Redbridge 1-0, 2-0, 3-0. And it really deflated us sitting there going into a big game, knowing that they had won their game. So I imagine Dagenham and Redbridge felt that the other end on the day, where they could feel the goals going in, and it probably didn't help them, take a couple of chances. So we just knew that we just had to do our job, do it as early as possible, and whatever will be, and it worked out in our favour, thankfully. So, I think that mood of understanding what is happening elsewhere does impact the feeling around the ground. And I do think getting those early goals would have had an impact on their performance and the nervousness around what they were doing as well. So,
And you've racked up this season, I think, 150 appearances now for Wealdstone in your four seasons that you've been with the club. Where did Monday's game result, moments, the end, where does that rank in your Wealdstone career?
Yeah, I mean, not just Wealdstone career, right? Like total career to date, it's definitely in top 3 moments. I mean, you can go a whole football career and have very few kind of trophy lift moments or promotion moments or relegations. I've been playing football at this level for 10 years now, and I've had one promotion, and that's it, one FA Cup third round. So those big moments are very few and far between. So I know it was, don't want to get carried away. It was to stay in the league, right? It's not for the playoffs. It's not for promotion. So you have to kind of maintain a sense of realism that we struggled all season, and that Monday sugar-coated a very difficult season for everyone. But it does, that moment where the full-time whistle went and we had the 4 or 5 minutes to understand what was going on elsewhere, and the crowd running on the pitch was amazing, and definitely, top 3 moments of my football career today, and probably top moment at Wealdstone. Let's not forget that we won away at Oldham to stay up on the last day of the season, last season as well. So there's been some magical moments throughout my 4 years at Wealdstone, but that definitely ranks very highly.
And my last question before I give the guys the chance to ask you anything, but is there going to be a 5th season?
Look, I've got another contract for next season already. I signed a 2-year at the start of last season, so technically I'm contracted for another year. I think the club, the back end of last year under Neil Gibson, did a lot more training sessions that I struggled to get to because of my work commitments. So I need to have an honest conversation with Rory and find out what the plans are moving forward with hybrid, full-time, what the plans are basically, because I couldn't commit to anywhere near as much as I would have liked due to that. And with the changing of staff and manager, schedules changed a little bit, which made it more difficult. And even towards the end, the pressure of winning meant more training sessions. So look, technically I'm contracted next year, which is a good thing. I'm happy with that. I'd love to stay at the club. It really just depends now, having an honest conversation with Rory and the board and the chairman about what their plans are for the future of the club, and whether that works out with everything I've got going outside of football.
Awesome. We've got Dave, Mickey Kane and Alex Kilroy here. Guys, I just wanted to give you the opportunity while Cookie's here before he disappears off for the second half. But any questions you want to ask Cookie?
Yeah, Cookie. You mentioned that we struggled on the pitch this season. Is there anything in particular you can put your finger on as to why you think that's been the case, or is it just a combination of injuries and general turmoil? Is there anything in particular that's caused us to have a fairly poor season?
I think at the start of the season, kind of Matty Taylor's approach was very different to what we played the previous season under Stuart and Matty. So it was a change in structure, change in some new players, and it took time to adapt. And we felt like towards the end of Matty Taylor, we were getting into a real good position. We were understanding the style of play. We were starting to build momentum and get results. And obviously when that goes, because he took an opportunity elsewhere, you're almost starting again with brand new style, a brand new management team, getting to know each other, and we didn't have time to really embed anything. I think they came in at a very difficult period where we had lots of games, not many training sessions. So it was very much a clash of styles, and injuries didn't help. Even to myself, to the last 5 weeks, it wasn't ideal at all. Big players like Sean Adarkwa not playing many games at all this season, and we all know what he did last season and how influential and how important he was to the team. So I think it's a mixture of the ups and downs of new management coming in, changes in the backroom staff, even Rory not being present and around as much, and just a whole host of things. I think kind of got the end of what you guys were saying about some late goals and maybe some decisions not going in our favour as well. So it was a whole host of things that didn't go exactly the way we wanted, but we're just delighted as a group of players that we can almost put that to bed now with survival, and hopefully the club are willing to invest in the club again, in the playing staff, and even the training and facilities, and keep trying to raise the levels of the club to not be in the same position again next season.
Excellent. Thank you, Jack.
Alex, Dave, anything from you guys?
Can you hear me all right?
Just about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've really got a question for you, Cookie. Only that you've got me a little bit worried now. I'm sad about what for next season. I'm just going to speak for many Wealdstone fans to say that we really do have to get something. We're a far better team than that on the pitch, so I want to keep your fingers crossed we can get something sorted. So
Yeah, I mean, I got a wind of what that was about, a sense. Yeah, look, as I said, I've got a contract for next year, so that's a good place to start. And then just need to kind of sit down with Rory and have a conversation about what their plans are. I think they made a lot of allowances for me last season to miss certain training sessions due to work commitments. So I'm pretty confident that we'll find a way of making it work again. But yeah, just look, back end of last year was challenging. So I just need to get on the phone, have the conversation, see what their plans are. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that we'll come to an agreement like we did the start of last season, and hence why I signed a 2-year deal to make it work. So yeah, don't have any worries. I hope I didn't. That was not what I was trying to get across.
Cookie, I'm conscious. I've got the football, and I'm conscious the teams are out for the second half.
I don't know if I want to watch the second half, to be honest. So if you've got any more questions, I'm happy to answer.
Alex, unless there's anything from you, mate.
Well, no, there's nothing much. I thought I'll end it by saying thank you. Whatever happens next season, whether you're here or not, I think I can speak on behalf of all Wealdstone fans, saying a massive cheers to you, because honestly, in my lifetime, I don't think I've seen a better Wealdstone player. Thank you. So we wish you all the best, whether you're here next year or not. Pray to God you are, because you are our number 2. You are the captain, and long may it continue.
No, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
I definitely wasn't trying to make anyone scared or nervous. But yeah, I'm pretty confident you'll see that shirt again next season. But yeah, thank you again for all the support. It meant so much on Monday, the kind of even you guys running on the pitch and making us all feel extremely special after doing that. So yeah, you guys drive us forward. You can be pains at times. I'll be the first to admit that. But yeah, I think there's a common ground, and we're all doing it for the right reasons. And yeah, with all the challenges off the pitch that some fans don't see, it can be challenging at times. That we all know why we're not maybe performing at our best, but we always try our best. So yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to join you guys, and hopefully we'll go again next season.
Yeah,
cheers,
really
Cookie.
Coming on, mate.
Legend,
No worries,
mate. See you next summer. See you next season.
See you later, guys. Cheers.
Cheers, Cookie. Go watch the football, mate. Great stuff.
Oh, what a bloke. What a bloke.
Yeah. Right. One thing, because I think we're probably coming to the end here, but just to sort of dwell on the scenes at the end of the game, and it's an interesting. I can't think who said it at the start here, but I've always kind of looked down my nose at fans celebrating and going on the pitch for avoiding relegation because you've been shit. It's not a cause for a celebration, but until it happens to your club, and I think linking in what Alex you were saying about the enormity, and it was something more than just staying up. It was a real outpouring of many emotions from the seasons gone past, for what's happening with Rory right now, and just it's almost now making me feel quite emotional, and I'm fucking delighted we stayed up. Knowing that I wasn't going to be at the Halifax game, at the end of that Southend game, I had a bit of a moment where I thought I was saying goodbye to the National League, and absolutely incredible. And again, I just want to invite you guys just to share your thoughts of what happened in those immediate moments when that final whistle blew at Solihull.
Can I just start? I think you're completely right. Like, people would mock us or take the piss, and usually they come from Big Six fans who've never been into a stadium in their life. Until you follow a team, whether that be a Premier League team, whether that be a National League team, and you go week in, week out, you'll never understand what it's like. And you need to get it to understand it. I've always said that to people I meet wherever I go, is that you kind of have to get it. And you're right that at point of emotion and in those moments, like I said, when I go to home games, I meet my dad. You know, that's our thing. We don't really have much else. It's football, it's sport. And, you know, the first thing I do when Wealdstone score is hug my dad, is celebrate with him, or celebrate with my mates if we're away. So, you know, when that final whistle went at Dagenham, he's the first person I went to. And like, I feel like that's our thing, that's our moment. And I'll remember that for the rest of my life, is that outpouring of emotion that you don't really get to see. Like, you know, I mean, me and my dad, like, we have a great relationship, but we don't really speak about like emotions. We don't shout and scream at each other, but that's when you can do it and get away with it. You know, so it's just really wholesome. It was really nice. And, you know, those moments, who cares if people say it's Tin Pot? Who cares if people say like your club's this or that?
Tin Pot.
It doesn't matter. Like, who gives a shit what people think? Like, they don't get it, so they can go, you know, do one.
I was definitely trying to find the heart emoji as you were saying that. That was lovely.
So yeah, that's what I did, and yeah, I think that's what's that's what football and sport is all about. Whether it be your family member, whether it be your mates. Like, I speak to my Wealdstone mates more than I speak to actual mates. You know, I've had more conversations through football with my Wealdstone mates than my own mates, because it's what brings us together. It's what unites us, and I think that's what's so important. And again, I just feel like it was just everyone just expressed their emotion in their own way, and it was absolutely fine to do what we did, and I'll happily do it a million times over.
And it was incredible to watch the footage that's emerged as the final whistle blew. And I think one comment that I've seen quite a lot was just how many kids were on the pitch and at the game. And, you know, when I was a kid in my late teens going to watch Wealdstone at Edgware and then Northwood, we didn't have, there's a sort of a generation of sort of my age, of this sort of people who are 40 now, that we just didn't have, because who the hell, what kids really wanted to watch Wealdstone at that point in their career? So to see that now, like, oh, it's amazing what's being built for the future of the club in moments like that. Kane, Dave, sorry, go on.
I'll just say one more thing in regards to like the youth element that was there. I was walking out of the stadium. I think I said to Jez in the clubhouse, I said, if this doesn't bring some of those youth back, then nothing will. That's it now. We should that should be bringing more youngsters to the games, and we have seen a larger youth element there. But that's what those kids live for. It's like moments like that. And so if they don't come back in August, then what else can we do?
Yeah, but I think to Rich right there, when you look at the crowd, there was 2,700 people in there to watch the home team. So there's only 200 Halifax there, and that's incredible. And when you look at that, you think, what would our crowds be like if we were challenging for playoffs? You know, we'd be averaging 2,500 easy. And so it's massive potential there, massive potential. And it's amazing how you can sort of pull a positive out of, like, a massive positive out of what has sort of been a negative season, fifth from bottom. But everything around the club is so positive, and that's a great thing. And I can't wait for next season.
Yeah. On that, on what Alex was saying, we like to think that we're quite unique as a fan base. We're very similar to clubs like Hillsy, who we get and they get us, because there's a sort of mutual respect. Now, we've both come up with that. Lots of large league clubs around us, and who's your real team sort of questions being asked, and so that's why there's a mutual respect. We also have to remember it wasn't that long ago when some of our fans have been the Billy Big Bollocks in the Ryman League days, going to what we called Tin Pot grounds and taking over. So a lot of us aren't really different. We all categorise teams and where they are. we think our football's important, and possibly lower and lower down isn't, in the same way that people who follow championship clubs look down upon us. But I'll say one thing, that it doesn't matter what club you follow. If you follow a club, you get it. And no armchair fan can ever lecture any football supporter at any level what it means to follow your club. They will never understand, no matter what your team is, what level you're playing as. If you're going home and away, week in, week out, you will get it, regardless of what club it is. Doesn't matter. So always pay respect to people who go to football. And anyone who doesn't, their opinion might as well be moot, because they don't know what they're talking about. Absolutely. But anyway, going back to the game on Monday, we were actually up in the Halifax end, but actually in Couch Corner, the second half. And we walked through the Halifax fans as people were on the pitch. And then there was that big roar went up. And no Halifax during the game had been taking the piss and cheering for daggers. You know, it was basically taking the piss, because the second that whistle went, they were applauding our players. They stopped taking the piss and being football fans, and were actually genuinely appreciative of us and clapped us. And I walked out of the ground thinking, we're safe, hallelujah. I was celebrating myself walking down the outside of the ground, came in the bottom end, and everyone's going, it's not over yet, the game's still going on. And it's like, what the fuck? So, and that video that came out on the two games played parallel, and they're all celebrating, and there's Aloma putting the ball wide. And you're thinking, oh my God, that could have been a meme for the years that moment. And what a bullet dodge that was. And I mean, that's how our luck was that day. We played really well, but boy, we had a big chunk of luck on Monday. That's football though, isn't it? Love it, hate it, you can't change it. That's football.
And you mentioned Halifax, of course. The beauty of staying in the National League, unless they win the playoffs,
which they won't.
Halifax, yeah. So we'll maybe come on to a little bit of next season. I was going to ask you what your moment of the season was, but I think that's probably obvious, unless you're still going to rank Grimsby above that. I think they're probably the two obvious ones. I'll miss both of them.
Oh, Cookie's goal. Cookie's goal on Monday.
Yeah.
It's sliding doors moment. The game, history changed in that moment. Everything changed in that moment. For me, anyway.
Alex, Dave, any advances on anything from Halifax or Grimsby?
I mean, Kenny's hit the nail on the head. That Cookie goal was just utter pandemonium. Absolute pandemonium. And I think I find it hard anyone who disagrees.
It seemed a bit weird at the end, as I said, when everybody piled on the pitch, and then we were all standing in the Brian Collins, and everybody looking at their phones and saying, "What are running on the pitch for? What are running on the pitch for? It's still going on. It's disease."
really struggling to hear you, Dave. Sorry, mate. You're really breaking up.
Right. Okay. Good.
Quick movers on, because I'm conscious of time here. But just a quick look towards next season. Obviously, we've now got trips, Truro coming up from the south, and it will be either Boreham Wood or Maidstone. Boring, done that, but so be it. Of course, Carlisle and Morecambe coming down from the EFL. Two brilliant trips that I'm sure we'll get plenty of support at. And then you've got either Scunthorpe or Chester. Please, Chester.
Chester, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to that.
We have a load of Wrexham fans following us that day if we do play them.
Yeah, that's a spicy rivalry, that one.
Yeah, well, they're good mates with us, Wrexham, now, so I think we'll see a few turning up if we're playing them up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I'm going to leave you with a question.
Not another poem.
Not another poem, no. My question is, which Wealdstone player amassed the most minutes on the pitch this season with an incredible 3,940?
Enzio?
Enzio.
Correct. Correct. Perhaps
And that's why he was our player of the season.
Absolutely. And his performances certainly from the second half of the season were very, very good.
Half the season.
Very good. Right. I think we've probably done what we needed to. We've got... Actually, before I talk about what's coming next, guys, do you have any other AOB or anything to add or discuss?
No, I'm good, mate.
Just up the Stones.
Up the Stones. Just as we, just a little bit of a nod to the next few weeks. We've got the 2 weeks today, the 21st of May. We've got the end of season review cast where I'll be hosting, joined by I think Sudir, Jez, Paul Cook, Mike Rennie making his debut. Around that, we're also hoping to sit down with Neil and Lee and talk to them about their experiences with Wealdstone and what we can look forward to hopefully next season. We're also lining up another one with Darren and Dom from our board of directors. So although the season's finished, it's going to be busy. We're also making some plans to hopefully get a supporters cricket match or two. We're in discussions with a couple of clubs about getting some midweek or weekend fixtures. So if you like a bit of right arm over, or you can hit a ball, reach out to us through StonesCast at StonesCast85 on Twitter. And finally, because I forgot to say it at the start, and I did put it up on screen while we were talking, but of course the cast is now sponsored by the brilliant Rolf Beast estate agency. Rob Barrett and Max Rolf, they are both Stones fans, come to the games regularly. You'll see their boards across the stadium. So yeah, nod to those guys and thank you for their
Thanks for your support. Thank you for your support, boys.
And if there's nothing more to say, then it's other than to say, up the fucking Stones.
Up
Cheers,
the
boys.
fucking Stones. Have a good summer, everyone.
Cheers, boys. See you later.